Welcome to Study Session 8, Organization and Administration of Guidance Program in Schools. Introduction. Assisting students in reaching the full potential requires the cooperative efforts of school administrators, teachers, community representatives, government officials, parents, and the students themselves, as well as the trained school counselors who are able to facilitate students' development and achievement. Of particular importance to students' success is access to a strong elementary guidance and counseling program that begins early in the student's school career. Early planning, for example, senior secondary school course selection and elementary enrichment programs, can ensure that students pursue the most challenging curriculum that results in enhanced post-secondary educational options. Learning outcomes. At the end of this study, you should be able to 1. To discuss the objectives of school guidance program and services. 2. Explain the various requirements for school guidance services. 3. Enumerate some of the factors related to underachievement or dropout from formal education. Objectives of school guidance programs and services. In democratic societies, the school's basic purpose is the education and development of all students towards individual fulfillment. To carry out this important responsibility, it is desirable to prepare clear-cut statements and objectives, preferable in behavioral terms. The objectives of a school guidance program, therefore, could be stated around the anticipated duties to be performed by the school counselor, viz. 1. Providing personal, social, and career counseling to promote students' emotional health and adjustment in school and intelligent career decisions and plans. 2. Collecting occupational and educational information and making them available to students regularly and in a well-structured, classified manner, as well as developing the idea of job families. 3. Keeping and maintaining personal cumulative data records, one for each student in the school, including students' continuous assessment records. 4. Referral of students with more than the normal counseling needs to the appropriate agencies, for example, psychiatrists, clinical psychologists, audiologists, and special education experts. 5. Providing group counseling in the classroom setting over subjects like self-discipline, responsibility, value clarification, sex education, relaxation techniques, appropriate use of leisure, qualities of leadership, and so on. 6. Identifying and nurturing of talents and gifted students. 7. Rehabilitating the disabled. 8. Contributing to the development of flexible curriculum to provide a meaningful education for each student. 9. Assisting students in planning programs of educational and vocational training consistent with their goals. 10. Preparation of transcript for students, either those graduating or those transferring from the school. 11. Identification of students with problems who cannot cope academically with the pace of class. It should also be involved in the planning, execution, and coordination of remedial program for students such identified. 12. Consulting with principals and teachers over students' academic and classroom behavior problems and helping students resolve academic difficulties in different subjects in the school curriculum. 12. Consulting with parents or guardians with the principal's support over students' personal and emotional problems that are family-based. 14. Administration of standardized and locally adapted psychological tests for diagnosis of emotional problems and facilitating vocational guidance. 15. Conducting annual orientation programs for new students as well as periodic orientation for the senior students. 16. Promoting career education through organized visits to industries, institutions of higher learning, and through guest speakers on Careers Day and Careers Club meetings. 17. Building a career educational and occupational information library in the school. 18. conducting local research and communication of development of academic and professional interest to guidance and counseling section of the federal or state ministries of education. 19. Writing of annual report to be forwarded to the guidance and counseling section of the federal state ministries of education through school principal. From the foregoing, it can be deduced that the demands on the school counselor will be even greater this decade than any other time in the past. It is therefore clear that establishing a school guidance program to achieve the stated objectives is a time-consuming and difficult task, but it is essentially to the attainment of program quality. Requirements for school guidance services. The following are requirements for school guidance services. 1. Accommodation. Realizing of the need for organized and systematic careers guidance in our school, with teachers suitably qualified and equipped to give it, has brought with it an acknowledgement of the need for space in which to carry out the work. It is, however, unfortunate that many secondary schools in Nigeria provide little, if any, essential facilities, including accommodation, for the effective provision of guidance service program. Guidance and counseling will not have proper status in the school or be seen by students to be important if careers masters or counselors have to keep their materials in the ordinary staff room, workshop, or laboratories, and if there is no way in which parents can easily consult members of the career guidance team for information and advice. Provision of careers room is to ensure the orderly storage and easy retrieval of relevant and up-to-date material on higher and further education for teachers, and provision for interviewing students in reasonable comfort and privacy. If the room allocated is too open to passers-by, or if people can easily hear what is being discussed, students are likely to avoid such a place. Ideally, the counselor's room should be in the main administrative block of the school, preferably near the central waiting area where parents and other visitors naturally congregate, and with easy links to the administrative block, the principal, vice principal, and senior staff members of the school. The office should be at least 6 meters square with appropriate furniture, viz. A table with at least one lockable drawer for string papers, b. a filing cabinet for basic careers reference materials, a cabinet or cupboard in which students' records can be kept and locked, bookshelves and drawers, notice board to feature the basic calendar of careers activities arranged for the school year, cupboard for storing film strips with accompanying pamphlets, kits, suspension filling system for the classified literature in the form of single sheets and small leaflets and pamphlets which are not suitable for storing on shelves, an index card system for keeping records of past students at universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, or in employment to whom students may contact for advice about the content of the course or job requirements for entry, college life, and so on. A set of labeling kits, for example, dino or interest and materials for sticking notices, posters, and so on. Suggestion box for students to drop notes of careers in which they would like to have information. Secretarial assistance to be provided by trained clerical officer, a typist, and a messenger who will work with the counselor, thereby relieving him of routine clerical work. A set of computer and printer. 2. Time. A lot of time is required by the counselor for the following duties. A. Organization of records and information about students. B. Meeting and making inquiries from students, teachers, or parents needing instant factual information about their career plans and aspirations. C. Interviewing students individually or in groups. D. Administrative arrangements, working out a program with class teachers and organizing excursions, visits, films, careers day, careers club, and other activities. E. Liaising with employment agencies, for example, federal and state ministries of labor, firms, companies, industries, and other occupational establishments. F. Conducting local research on occupational opportunities and making such information available to students. G. Setting up of an effective careers library in order to have more time for counseling role. 3. Careers library. The counselor should build up a collection of documents which he knows will provide him with the answers to his students. It is then important to ensure that a suitable room is provided where counseling literature and other materials, for example, university and college prospectuses, can be stored and displayed for easy reference by students, teachers, and parents. There should be an outer browsing area immediately adjacent to the counselor's office. It should be furnished with comfortable chairs, coffee table at which students can make notes for their requirements of courses and careers. There should be walls equipped with display notice boards for posters and notices. They can also be used to indicate activities which have relevance to career work. 4. Finance. Apart from the initial equipment and furniture, the counselor will need money for books, pamphlets, transport fares when students go on careers excursion, record systems, students' cumulative record cards, folders, stationery for use, film strips, slides and hired films, salary allowance, and honorarium for invited guest speakers at Careers Day or Career Convention. The school should therefore have an annual allocation of funds sufficient to install and maintain the equipment, literature, and teaching aids. The school counselor should have discretion over how this allocation is spent, having obtained approval from the principal. Career information factors. Career development authorities have long stressed the importance of providing students with realistic, exploratory opportunities that lead to an increasingly comprehensive understanding of self and the world of work. Most of the career education models should therefore emphasize exploration as a central theme in their references to the secondary school. For the counselor to tackle his job systematically and scientifically, and he is to guide students effectively about the choice of career, he must himself have a comprehensive knowledge and be well informed about career. This is especially important in a country like Nigeria, where the average secondary school child knows a very few jobs outside medicine, engineering, law, accounting, administration, and teaching, to mention a few. Career information should address the current and future conditions of work, education, training, and job opportunities and requirements. Most youths, however, continue to enter the labor market with a minimal and often erroneous information about work preparation, entry, retention, and satisfaction. As of today, the career information available is not usually assembled or ready for use in our schools. The information that one obtains on subjects being taught in relation to possible available career tends to have little relevance to specific local job situation and is often out of date or incomplete. Information on factors in youth unemployment. Dreyer, 1980, argued that the lack of the following information related factors could very well be associated with youth underachievement, dropout from formal education, and assorted categories of underemployment and unemployment in transition from school to work. 1. Appropriate and accurate information about employee and employer coping and adjustment. 2. Realistic information about the varied work environments of each occupational category. 3. Current information about the attitudes, values, and general sociological factors that exist in employment areas and how they differ from one's existing community characteristics. 5. Realistic comparison data on income potential versus cost of living in different geographical areas. Information about the levels of training needed for both entry and advancement in specific occupations. 6. Data on the personal aptitudes, abilities, advantages and disadvantages associated with fields of occupation's interest. 7. A range of information about the requirements of unions and other trade requirements for entry into occupations with organized labor. 8. an appreciation of the variety of skill training options available, private, public, and armed forces establishments. 9. An awareness of the possibilities of financial support from the federal, state, and local governments. Therefore, the goals for information use vis-a-vis major goals of career information should be: A. To provide logical groupings of occupational opportunities. B. To provide logical groupings of educational and training opportunities. C. To provide basic characteristics of specific jobs. D. To specify basic occupational and educational exploratory skills. E. To help determine relationships between personal values and interests in job and educational choice. F. To encourage the use of current information in career decision making. G. To acquire knowledge in courses and careers. And H. To develop students' concepts of the variety of roles in society that people play through their work. Students should be fully involved and motivated to take part in every phase of the career education program, planning and implementation. Summary of study session. In this study session, you have learned that 1. In democratic societies, the school basic purpose is the education and development of all students toward individual fulfillment. 2. To carry out this important responsibility, it is desirable to prepare clear-cut statements of objectives, preferable in behavioral terms. 3. The following are requirements for school guidance services: accommodation, time, careers library, and finance. 4. Career development authorities have long stressed the importance of providing students with realistic, exploratory opportunities that lead to an increasingly comprehensive understanding of self and the world of work. We have come to the end of study session 8. Thanks for listening.